College of Law. While in office, Congresswoman McCormick intends to tackle rising unemployment rates, the soaring cost of living, inadequate access to quality health care, and a lack of equitable opportunities. As a Haitian American woman in Congress representing one of the largest Haitian communities in the United States, she vows to be a voice for the voiceless representing her beautiful, diverse district. Congresswoman McCormick has established herself within her district as a healthcare executive working up to the position of Chief Executive Officer for Trinity Healthcare Services, Inc. She has an established track record within the healthcare industry and has improved the quality of healthcare people needed for nearly 2 decades. Congresswoman Sheffield McCormick is married to Corley McCormick Jr. and is a proud mother of 2. Now please, give it up for Mrs. Congresswoman Sheila McCormick.
Good evening, everybody. It is so warm and I'm overjoyed to be home. And I say it sincerely because the last time, how are you? I see some of my babies in here. I know your mom. But it's been so long since I've been here. When I was here, we didn't have this. And I remember when I was choosing a law school, I went and I visited law schools. And when I came to St. Thomas, it felt like home. At that time, I was a single mother, and I knew I had to be able to go to school and also raise my daughter as a single parent. And St. Thomas University gave me everything I needed to succeed, everything, including the boldness and tenacity it takes to succeed in society. Right now, we have a lot of people who like to stick towards names and Ivy League and everything else that comes with it, not understanding that it's the grit and the fortitude to succeed that actually leads you towards success. It's the commitment to actually make the world better and ensure that no one suffers what you have suffered that allows us to achieve greatness. And that's what you all have here, that advantage of knowing and not being fooled by, oh, I go to an Ivy League, so I'm entitled to make it. Everybody who's here understands that this is a fight. And the only people who win are the ones who aren't weary, the ones who would get up and be bold and say what people are afraid to say. Those are winners. And that's what makes everybody here a winner, because that's what St. Thomas University breeds. So I want to welcome everyone who's here to the class of success once you graduate, because that's who we are. We are successful, and we are a class of successful people at St. Thomas University. So I thank the provost for being here today, and I thank Dr. Kacha for inviting me and everyone who's here. But I also thank the bravery to even have this event at a time where we have attacks saying that AP, African American history, is not significantly important. We still come together and have this event, which is imperative because we are making the statement and making it very clear to everybody that African American history is not just African American history, it's American history. And that the efforts that we do going forward and making sure that everybody understands the success is because we've suffered a history where we were suppressed and all of our accomplishments were stolen and given to other people. So this is history's chance and America's chance at recompensing the people who were broken and taken advantage of. And that's what we talk about. The great history of being American is not that we were birthed perfectly, is that we were birthed into an imperfect union, and every day we strive to be more perfect in correcting our past, and that's what makes us great. And so everyone who's here, as we go forward, we start searching and trying to fulfill America's promise, and that's what this is about. When I first graduated, I felt like I loved criminal justice. I was with the public defender's office, but because of the soaring prices, I couldn't afford to do what I loved and raise my child. And I got into healthcare law because it was easier for me. But after going through what I went through, I realized that no one should have to suffer or make a determination, not because of the love you have for your community, but because you need to eat or survive. And so after years of suffering silently, because I was afraid to admit my weaknesses, right? Could you imagine me being a Haitian child telling my parents, hey, first of all, I got pregnant in my 20s. They're like, oh, And then they were like, what about the promise for you to be a lawyer, So the shame that you feel and then struggling with your child, struggling with finances, no one wants to hear about that. But the only way we can overcome it is by making it different and changing it for everybody who comes behind us. When you choose to start a family, it shouldn't be the end of your career. When you choose to serve your community, you shouldn't be strapped with debts that doesn't allow you to serve the community. And so that's what we fight for every single day. And that's what makes this day important, because we gather understanding that our destiny moment is here. Our responsibilities of actually changing the community is here and now. And we either accept that responsibility and live up to our call to greatness, or we cower and shy away from it, thinking that tomorrow we would be good enough. The truth is, tomorrow you will never be good enough, because you are good enough today. And so I just want everyone to understand that all your imperfections, what you struggle, that's what's going to unlock your future. Your vulnerability, that will unlock your greatness. So as we come to the end of my day, because I've been rushing around since 9, this is the biggest delight I can have. Because I wish someone would have told me when I was sitting there, I was an older student, ashamed to have a daughter, you will be great. Don't shy away from your struggle because other people are struggling. I wish someone would have told me that. My key to success was my vulnerability and honesty. So thank you so much for having me here today. And I know I couldn't answer all the questions, but I hope I could have imparted to you the most brilliant part of what makes us being able to achieve. When I ran my race, people told me I had no shot in winning. And I just answered the call for greatness. And everyone said, who's great? You? You're going to do this? And 4 years later, I lost 2 elections, and here I stand. The first black woman to represent my district, the first Haitian American Democrat in Congress, the first black woman to even serve in a lot of the capacities where I'm doing diversity and inclusion for not just women of color, but disabilities and different backgrounds. Because my promise to the community and to the world is that no one should ever have to suffer what I suffered because of the color of my skin, because of my gender, because of me being a parent, because of me having immigrant parents. No one should ever have to live that life. And so I hope that all of you lean into the higher parts of you, not the lesser parts that feeds into the hostility, the divisiveness, these conversations that are trying to establish a superior class. But default to the higher part of you that doesn't give in to all of the distractions. The higher part that you actually live up to being the person you envision. The higher part when someone can tell you that you have changed their lives by your honesty and your tenacity and your grit. And so with that, I end by saying, show up earlier than everyone. Leave later than everyone. Fight harder than everyone. Because the truth is, what separated me from a lot of other people, they didn't know how to fight like I did. When you suffer, you know how to fight and get up. When you're pushed down, you know how to get up and fight again. So everyone else who you think is living better, doing better than you, guess what? Everybody's going to encounter a fight. The only question is, how do you fight back? Do you give up easy? Do you get weary? All that fighting you've been doing on your life, this is it. Fight them like hell, and I'll see you on this stage. Thank you.
On behalf of SU, we'd like to present this Panel of Pros Recognition Award. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you coming out here. Oh, so sorry. On behalf of SU, we'd like to present you this Panel of Pros Recognition Award. We really do appreciate you coming out here and dedicating your time. It's really important for people to hear from you, so thank you so much for that. At this time, I'd like to welcome the panelists to the stage, please. Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Good, good, okay. My name is Christian Pommels. I will be your host for tonight. I currently am a junior here at St. Thomas University, and I'm a part of the videography club with Moses over here. We just kind of wanted to thank you for coming out to our event. This is such an incredible opportunity, and for everyone to be invited here, I'm kind of in awe. About 2 weeks ago, Moses reached out to me asking me if I'd like to host, and I immediately said yes. This is such a great opportunity to celebrate Black professionals, their stories, work, and contributions in their respective fields, all during a month dedicated to Black history. Without any further delay, I'd like to introduce our first panelist, Dr. Gershwin T. Blyden. Dr. Blyden is a South Florida Bahamian physician who contributed extensively to the communities in the Bahamas and South Florida for decades. He has a medical practice specializing in hematology, oncology, and sickle cell anemia. With notable mention, Dr. Blyden is the first African American to receive a PhD in pharmacology from the Ivy League institution of Yale University. Being that he is such a trailblazer in his field, Dr. Blyden recognized the need for more Black doctors and spearheaded an initiative for Black doctors to teach science and mentor students at Holmes Elementary School. He has a deep interest in African diaspora and celebrating and enhancing his Bahamian Americans in the diaspora everywhere. So, give it up. Up next, I'd like to welcome Mr. Ivan Yeager, inventor and CEO of Yeager Companies. Let's just start by saying that in the 7th grade alone, he created a functioning bionic arm for a science project. This set the groundwork for Yeager in the world of innovation as he went on to become a tech multimillionaire with 3 U.S. patents by the age of 23. Mr. Yeager currently serves as the CEO of Yeager Companies, which specializes in product development, manufacturing, consulting, real estate, educational programs, and healthcare. In the realm of education, Mr. Yeager is a proud partner of St. Thomas University with the Yeager Foundation that provides career-focused learning opportunities to local pre-college and university students. Mr. Yeager. Our next panelist is television producer and director Tavares Beverly. Tavares Beverly is the founder and CEO of a Beverly Boys Productions Group, Incorporated, a global video production company headquartered in West Palm Beach, Florida. After college, Beverly had an interest in acting, but quickly grew love for a producing and directing aspect of film. Starting with smaller productions, Beverly soon rose to success after being approached by the Obama administration to film videos promoting Obamacare. Since then, Tavares began to build his team of industry experts and soon became a global industry powerhouse. His company currently produces over 200 projects per month with clients such as A&E, BET, TV One, Bleacher Report, Stars, Disney, HBO, Sony, and Paramount, just to name a few. And that's Beverly. Last but certainly not least is DJ Five Venoms. As the undisputed ruler of festivals and conqueror of nightlife, Venoms rose to the top of the music scene with his unparalleled turntable skills and innate ability to read and electrify any crowd. As the official DJ for Rolling Loud, the largest hip-hop festival in the world, Venoms has captivated millions with his eclectic scratch style and masterful music selection. Not only does he dominate festivals, but Venoms ruled the nightlife scene with residencies at legendary nightclubs such as 11, Live, and Story in Miami. His versatility has earned him accolades from prestigious brands such as Mercedes-Benz, Macy's, the Wounded Warrior Project, and Harley-Davidson. With his electrifying performances along big names in hip-hop such as Lil Uzi Vert, A$AP Ferg, XXXTentacion, and Big Sean, Venoms has cemented his place as a top DJ of the industry. With this amazing panel, our goal is to expose students to a variety of professionals that have pushed past societal norms. We will also discuss how they made it while sharing life experience they picked up along the way. At this time, I'd like to turn the floor over to the panelists with our first question. Has the color of your skin ever affected you in the workplace? How did you feel? What did you do to get past it? And what things do you think we can do as a society to help stop discrimination in the workplace?
Check, check.
Check one.
First, let me say thanks for having us out here. I thought we were going to have to all give a speech like the Congresswoman made, so I was about to just go ahead and leave because I couldn't follow that. I'll just jump in. Absolutely, color has been a challenge. I think, anyone who's a minority knows that kind of going into any industry, you have to work twice as hard, and sometimes you don't even get the results that you deserve. But, for me personally, I had two choices. I could either focus on the challenges and focus on what was set to stall me for my growth, or I could focus on achieving my goals and not even looking at the issues that were in front of me. So I just chose to focus on achieving goals. I didn't look at what other people were doing because, you can't control what other people do. You can only control what you do in return. So I focused on just sticking tight to my goals, and thank God, 20 years later, we're in a beautiful position that we're in now. So.
The question reminds me of an experience I had when I was first starting out in business and started manufacturing products, and would call up different companies to try to forge relationships to have them as suppliers for our products, manufacturing components, and spoke to a company and to the vice president of operations at a metal manufacturing company, and he was telling me, well, we're one of the largest in the South, extruding aluminum components and stamping aluminum, and we can handle whatever you need, and we'll give you some ideas of the pricing of what you described to me, and why don't you come in sometime and we'll sit down, I'll give you a tour of our plant, and we want to see if we can earn your business. So I set up an appointment and went for my meeting with him, and my name is not a quote-unquote black name, a Russian first name and a German last name. And so when I walked in there, and the receptionist looked at me and she said, yes. She didn't say, can I help you? She said, yes. And I said, well, I'm here for my appointment, 11 o'clock with the vice president. She said, really? And you are? I said, I'm Ivan Yeager of Yeager Innovative Products Corporation. And she looked at me and she said, are you sure? And I said, well, my driver's license said that that's who I am. I said, and I spoke to him on the phone, and she said, oh, okay, well, let me go and let him know you're here. So she goes in the back, and she was there for a little while, and it didn't seem like the amount of time you need to let your boss know that his next appointment is there. So after a while, he comes out, and he walks out, and it's the same gentleman I spoke to, and he gives me the look like he's trying to figure out, I can see him processing. And he's looking at me, and I said, yeah, I'm Ivan Yeager. And he said, oh, yes, like he wasn't expecting to see this face behind the name and the voice. So he takes me to his office, we sit down, and all the customer service I was getting on the phone, oh, come on in, I want to show you the plant, all of a sudden that chilled, and he was just kind of, instead of selling me his company to me, he was kind of trying to make me prove that I was qualified to be his customer. And so after a while I said, I saw there was no tour coming of the plant. And so I said, well, you know what, I thank you very much. I'm going to sit down with my team, and we'll get back in touch with you if there's anything you can do for us. And that was it was a disappointing experience, but what it made me do is say, you know what, I'm the one with the money to do business with him. He needs my money. And I'm not going to be treated like a second-class citizen. I'll just take my money somewhere else. And I found other suppliers who were not of that same mindset. And it was something I used to spur me on to not be discouraged, but to instead strengthen my resolve and decide that, you know what, I'm better than that kind of attitude. And fortunately, as years have gone by, I've seen less of that kind of attitude, but it still exists out there. But you just have to keep in mind that sometimes your place in a situation is to educate. And I think that what happened is that I defied an expectation in those people's minds. And I showed them something they didn't understand or expect to see. And at least that was a time when they maybe could look back at some point and say, you know what, maybe what I thought about those people isn't all the same. Obviously, this guy wasn't like what I thought he would be. And so with that, what you all have charged with in your future is to defy expectations to make an example that's a positive example, and to not be discouraged by people who just don't understand, just don't get it yet, because you may be that thing that makes them get it. And eventually that guy's company called me a few years later after I was in the newspaper with a deal with Blockbuster Video for the product I was trying to get them to manufacture. And I said, well, that's a lovely thing, he called me up, but I just let him just think about that because I didn't call him back. Because we had a good supplier who respected our business, but at least he got to see the mistake made by misperceptions. So don't let mistakes of misperception interfere with your progression.
Yeah, I generally concur. We all have had experiences of discrimination, and the list can go on and on. But that, you cannot afford to concentrate on that. You have to concentrate on fighting and winning at all costs. It can be done. What we need is we need to be surrounded by people who believe in us so that we could believe in ourselves. The strongest advice and support I've had is with my immediate family, my mother and grandmother and aunts and those people. And to the extent that our communities are disintegrating, is to the extent that that support system is not going to be there. I recall going into a patient's room with my white coat on, and they asked, oh, did you come to fix the window? Or when I was going into the hospital, they called security on me because I was black, even though I didn't look like a doctor. And you can't just let those things succumb to those things. You just can't succumb to those things. Now, I want to make one point. I'm one of the oldest ones in here, and I've seen the development of talent. But this is the point. We, as a people, representing a growing percentage of the population of this country, we cannot afford not to have our brains developed to the maximum point, not only for us, but for good old America. And to the extent that we are not being trained and funneled into pathways of excellence and leadership and innovation, we have to be trained, and I'm not so sure we're being trained that way. We grew up to some extent being referred to as second-class citizens. But who's going to be the innovator? Who's going to be the next coronavirus vaccine? Who's going to be the next person to outcompete Russia or China going in outer space? Are we learning our chemistry and physics, et cetera, et cetera? That's what we need to be concentrating on. And I hope that that will be the case. Now, in the interest of Black History Month, who in here have not heard of Edward Wilmer Blyden? Let me see a show of hands. So in this stage of rapid technology, perhaps one of the bright scholars from your community, by the end of this program, can give a 2-sentence on who Edward Wilmer Blyden is in the history, in the interest of Black history.
So I've been in situations as a DJ where I go into nightclubs or go into events, and me being the black hip hop DJ sometimes typecast me as it brings the ghetto, it brings the unwanted crowd, the music type. But now there's been a shift where now it's become the top music in the world, where everyone's listening to it. So now that curve is changing, where the club owners and the event owners want that style because that's what's bringing the money. So I've been in these situations where I didn't get the booking because of the color of my skin, and in other situations I've gotten it because of that. So it really, there is a change happening. I don't know if it's for the good or the bad because of why they want black music, but black music is winning and it's becoming one of the top the genres in the world at the moment.
Thank you for your responses. Our second question would be, what are some adversities you have faced transitioning into adulthood? Things like mental barriers, environmental barriers, etc. And for those facing similar problems in the crowd, what would your advice be?
One of the biggest barriers I had coming up once I graduated college was just finances, being able to support myself. I have a dream and working towards that dream. I'm still learning finances now, but it builds up and builds up. But that being able to build wealth and sustain it is one of those big things for me moving forward.
Echo that, finances for sure. Coming up in my industry, in the video production industry or film industry, there's a network, and it's called the Old Boy Network. And I'm not a part of that network. The complexion is a little bit different than what is known. But what I've had to do is I've had to play the background. So 90% of my clients don't know when they're writing that check is coming to me. You see, because there's a game that we have to play. And you got two choices. You can either complain about the game or how society is keeping us down, or you can say, okay, let me figure out how to play this game. So I figured out how to play the game. I took my face off of the website. You don't see my name anywhere in the company. My first name. My last name is Beverly. Company name is Beverly Boy. Everybody always thinks Beverly Hills. But so when our big clients call in, they don't know they're giving their money to a brother. They have a picture in their mind of where the money is going to. And so that's fine with me. I don't need the notoriety, as long as my kids are eating and, my family's good and my circle is tight, that's what's important. But I think that's the takeaway is know how to play the game and, whatever the challenges may be, because there will be challenges. And another thing I would say is know your circle and keep your circle tight. It's super important. It's super important to have people around you who support you. I mean, catch it early. If people are not supporting your thoughts, your ideas, get rid of them. They will serve you nothing in the future. And a lot of times, it's about, there's a sentimental attachment, or you're in love with this, or whatever the situation, or maybe it's even family. You have to distance yourself from those kinds of people. That negative energy, you will look up 10 years later, and your growth will be cut down immensely if you don't take action. And you really have to be intentional about the people that you let into your circle. Don't talk about your ideas to everybody, because everybody can't understand your ideas. So you really need to move in silence. Just keep quiet, work on your craft, work on yourself, and work through those challenges autonomously by yourself in the quiet moments. And when you're ready, when you find good people, keep those good people close to you. I have a full staff I have 15 full-time employees, and then I have hundreds of subcontractors that I work with across the globe who all work under the auspice of my company. They're all, keenly selected to be a part of our brand. And it's important that my core, the people who work in my office in West Palm, they all believe in the vision. They all respect this black man that's leading this company. They all understand our goals, and they follow the leadership of what we have to do. And it makes it a lot easier. And when I see somebody come into the place and they don't understand what we're doing, or you see that hate coming in, or you see them questioning, your abilities, you got to get rid of them. That doesn't mean don't listen, because you can learn anything if you can learn a lot from anybody. You got to listen, but you know when somebody's disrespecting you. You know when there's a hater amongst you. Okay, so when you feel that hater, just make sure you're intentional about getting them out of your life. And that'll help you get past your obstacles a lot faster.
Have you ever heard this statement, playing the long game? That's key for success, which means that you can't be impatient. You must be in it for the long haul. When you're doing something that's your passion, that's your dream, sometimes you can get impatient, and you want things to go quickly. You want the challenges to be small. You want the success to be fast. And you have to kind of learn to readjust your priorities, readjust your time frame. And one of the things that I learned being in business after graduating from college with a business degree, that was the real education was after I graduated. Getting in the real world, that was a second degree of my education. And I had to adjust my expectations, because things don't always move at the speed or direction that you think they will. Sometimes it's the road that you didn't anticipate is the one that brings you big success. And you have to be willing to be flexible and read the lay of the land, figure out how to detour and avoid obstacles. It may seem like the golden path at one point, but later with observation and experience, you realize this is a path to destruction. And so I encourage you all to always plan. You don't plan to fail, you fail to plan. And roadmap your life. Look at where you want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, not just next year. Too often we end up being short-term planners. And we think about short-term returns, but we're not thinking about where does this put me in 20 years? Because it seems so far away, but I'm gonna tell you, 20 years is gonna go very quickly. You're in school now, in college, you'll be looking at your 10-year college reunion before you know it. It'll go like this. And what you do with those years predicts what you're gonna be doing with the next 10 years. So make sure that you are having a plan and a backup plan in case that first plan isn't working out so well. You have something else that you maybe can steer into that takes you where you want to be. And constantly check yourself and make sure you're keeping up with your goals, your plans, and put yourself in the positions and places that will take you to success. Meet people who are doing the things you want to do. Learn from their successes. Don't get the big-headed feeling that you know it all because you've had some success. Be willing to be a student, a lifelong learner, and listen to those who have done what you want to do. They'll give you some knowledge that you wouldn't even imagine could be valuable until you get into the situation and say, wait a minute, so-and-so told me about that. Now I know what to do. So make that part of your life plan. Setting those goals, but making sure that you don't move in a direction where you're not managing your growth and your development properly. Always keep an eye on what's coming up ahead and try to be a forward thinker and not rest on your laurels and just relax on your successes.
Yeah, one of the things you have to do, you have to be prepared to endure. You have to be prepared to endure. Now, in medical residency programs, you have a resident who's the leader and 2 interns. I was one of the 2 interns during my initial residency training. But my problem was the resident leader only directed his attention to the white intern, and I felt neglected. And I began to get upset. But I spoke to one of my friends, who's a classmate of mine from earlier, and he said, look, this gentleman has the knowledge. You have to get it from him. You cannot react and not get knowledge. So sometimes you have to endure through that hardship, through that toil and turn until you get what you want. Once you get what you want, then you can be what you want, but you don't want to not get what is needed. And we have to be careful not to fall prey to that.
Thank you again for your responses. For our third and final question, knowing what you do now, what would you have done differently in your college or just early on years?
Um, so when I was in college, one of the things that I did do was I started, I knew what my goal was being a DJ, being in the music industry. So I started doing a lot of that work while I was in school and taking the things I was doing in school and implementing them at that time. So I would learn something in class. That night, I'm figuring out how I'm going to implement it into what I'm doing in my career. And just built up and built up. So by the time I graduated, I already had a network. I was already working on getting gigs. I was already working on music. I was traveling because through school I had this blanket because I'm financial aid. I'm going to classes and I don't have the financial stresses. So, and I, roof over my head and everything. When I graduate, real life kicks in and all those things kick in. And I was already in that motion towards my career while I was in school. And what I would do different, I think, would probably be more back to the finances so that I built more things earlier, thinking back. I would be doing a lot more of the things that I probably wasn't thinking about doing and spending money on things I wouldn't have spun now then and invest it more into myself then than I did now. So
Definitely would have invested in Apple, Amazon, Google. Be sitting in a whole different situation right now, but no, I think in my college years, which seems like just yesterday, like you said, it goes by so. And I know the young, early 20s are like, okay, we're here. I'm telling you, 10 years from now, you're gonna be like, it goes by so fast. So it feels like yesterday, and I went to Florida Memorial University. Sorry, guys, right down the street. Shout out to Flomo, okay. But when I was there in my early 20s, there was a lot of partying going on. I'm from Chicago and coming to Florida, the Caribbean women, it was crazy. So I just didn't know. I was like, wait, is this how it is now? So I'm married now. I got 5 kids. So my wife is Jamaican. So go figure. But anyway, so I spent a lot of time, enjoying the youth, but I wasn't really focused. And so if I could go back, I would definitely focus more on what I wanted to do, because the moment you can find out what your passion is, what makes you really, what do you get excited about when you wake up in the morning? Whatever that thing is, you should start thinking, okay, how can I monetize this? How can this take care of my life? And if the answers to those questions are favorable, then you need to pursue that thing, whatever it is. If it's dog walking, you can figure out how to scale dog walking. If it's computer analytics, whatever it is, video games, these gamers are making hundreds of thousands of dollars just playing. I got my son on YouTube, like, oh, stay on YouTube, man, and figure this gaming stuff out, because there's something there. But if you love it, then it's not work. Like what I do, it's just not, like I can work 16-hour days and I'm not tired because I love what I do. It's enjoyable. And so if I had known then what I know now, I would have really focused on figuring out what my passion was and really pursuing that and not getting so sidetracked with all the other stuff, because you're going to be able to travel, you're going to be able to party, you're going to be able to have, eat the good foods and hang out with your friends. You'll be able to do all that stuff. But imagine if you could do that on a budget, like a decent budget. You can go to Dubai and ball out instead of just going to Orlando. So I mean, think about it that way. Invest now in yourself. Read. Oh my gosh, personal development. Everything is available to you. I mean, you need college still, but I mean, you can go to YouTube University as well. And you can have a dual enrollment, and you can definitely learn, a lot of stuff. So figure out what your passion is, inundate yourself in it, talk to people that are in that industry, And if I could have done that, I would have been a lot further on earlier if I had really focused on that. So that's what I would say to you guys. If you really want to be successful in life, you know, start now. Don't wait. Time kills all deals. So get moving.
Kind of reflecting back, I would say that if I would have taken advantage of more internship opportunities, that would have been very valuable. I was fortunate to have been able to work with a robotics company designing entertainment robots my first year in college, but there were some other opportunities with tech companies that I was offered that I didn't take advantage of. I passed on it to do other things. And looking back on it, the connections that I could have made, the experiences I could have had would have been very valuable. There weren't a lot of internships available at that time for students, and so it was something that was a rare jewel that I didn't really understand the value of until many years later when I began coordinating internships for college students, minority college students with Fortune 500 companies who were clients of ours. And seeing students progress through high school seniors, we recruited them, trained them, we paired them with companies that were our client companies. They worked with managers and executives, and we helped them negotiate a career offer upon their college graduation. And a lot of them now are senior vice presidents at major corporations and have partners in major corporations. So they have a lot of position and power because of the experience and because of being in that environment and meeting the people who are the decision makers. And it just made me look at those students and say, you know, that this internship opportunity is a powerful thing. And so I'm always advocating for students, get experiences, kind of piggyback what you were saying, get that career experience in industry, meeting people who are doing what you want to do, and you never know whose business card you'll pull out of your notebook at some time in the future who may be a reference for you to get a job, or who maybe could hire you directly, or someone who you maybe want to go into business and they may be the person who's going to be on your board of your startup. Someone who you know is an expert, someone who knows you and respects you because you interned with them. So I would say that make sure whatever opportunity you have to work with, alongside people in the industry that will pave a way for your career, make sure you take advantage of it.
I always tell students, look at your university. Look how many hours you are spending in the university proper versus the length of the year. It's not that many hours. And you are not maximizing your time at your university if you're not interacting with professors, with invited speakers and programs. Do that. Number two, I think you need to think big. You need to think bigger than you think. Start small, but think big. I think I would do anything differently. I would do that. Now, and the other thing, you need to be fully educated. I've spent a lot of time teaching students, and a student will come and say, oh, all I need 2 hours to get my degree. 2 hours to get your degree, as if that's a terminal event. It's just you're just beginning to learn. And when you have that, adopt that attitude that you only need 2 hours to get your degree, you assume that that is it. That is not it. We need to learn not only the theory, and I think in retrospect I would like to see more theory applied to the reality of the discipline. That amalgamation, that interaction between those two. Would be better students, would be more productive students, and would be more prepared to lead our world that is now being thrust upon us.
Just want to add one more thing. As an example of what I'm saying, when we were saying about getting to meet people in doing the things you want to do and use that resource, I'm honored to be saying this to Dr. Blyden, a friend of the family who I put on the board of my foundation because he was an expert. He's someone I respected. His knowledge was gold. So I wanted to make sure I surrounded myself with people who knew the trajectory and understood the road. So just as a living example, you see these are lifelong connections. And that was about 20 years ago plus that he joined my board. So it's something that is lifelong. Make those relationships and build them. They will pay off beyond measure.
On behalf of everyone, we'd like to thank you for participating and enriching the culture here at St. Thomas University. We will now transition into the question and answer period of the night. So if anyone in the crowd has questions, we'll have people walking around with the mics now. Yes, thank you.
You brought up internship, and our university right now, we have taken the initiative to, what is it called, students? Do you all know what it's called? QEP, Quality Enhancement Plan, and it is experiential learning. We want all students to have that experience in the field and meet the outcomes. So by the time they do graduate, they'll be able to have a job in a career in their field, or at least working towards it. Thank you so much for bringing that up.
Okay, my name is Dr. Ruth Dorskar, and I want to ask you all a question, anyone who chooses to answer. Right now, as a part of giving back, do you find it, are you mentoring an individual? Do you find it difficult to mentor the Gen Z or millennials, or do you have a plan on how you can draw them in to be mentored, or do you find it to be a need? I don't know.
Check. Okay. Historically, as a DJ, mentorship is part of the process. I came up, tons of mentors, older DJs, just people in the industry always look for knowledge, learning the etiquette, how to deal with different situations, even to the skills of being a DJ, more on like a social level of when I go into a club and reading a crowd what type of music they want to listen to and those things. I'm taught from other DJs as mentors. On the question of this generation, it's been difficult because partially because of technology. Technology is so available and the price of it is pretty cheap. As far as I want to become a DJ, I get a computer, I get a controller, I became a DJ. But there's now a curve where the talent level has dropped. And that's because the mentorship, the learning, the etiquette of being a DJ gets lost because the new generation isn't learning the process the proper way. I want to mentor, I want to provide the information, so I'm always trying to give it as much as I can, but sometimes it's not received.
I would definitely echo that. It's tough sometimes if someone is not ready for mentorship, it's nothing you can really do. You have to be open to it. And I love the idea of mentorship. I've always seeked after a mentor. In my business now, I'm really laid back. I'm really like in a corner. I don't really talk to many people. I have a full team to do that stuff. But there's been an unctioning on my heart to give back in that sense as a mentor. What I'm doing, today I got a call from my good friend Dr. Cadeau, and so this is something that I don't usually, I don't do, but it's something that I should. I've got a great amount of experience, life experience, and I'm very much open to taking on a couple of mentors. If I can teach, if you can learn something from my mistakes, from my successes, that's awesome. So mentorship opportunities are officially open. See me after class, and I'll take on 5 mentors today, all right? If you're interested. If you're not interested, I'll let you go.
Well, mentorship is an important thing for me in my pursuits outside of the things I do in business directly. We've built, in fact, in our foundation, mentorship as a component, doing programming that allows students to learn from professionals, develop careers in STEM and industry. And we've been very fortunate to be able to partner with Dr. Cadeau and have a lot of her students, working with them in a capacity where we do some mentoring with them, but we also have them mentoring elementary and middle school students and working with them. So I would ask everyone who's here, as if you're going to be a professional in the world, make it one of your priorities to mentor someone, to help someone else take the journey. And reach out to organizations like St. Thomas, go back to your alma mater, any other institutions in the community that may give you an opportunity to give something back. There's nothing more rewarding than being able to see someone, a young person, become successful, and part of it was because you helped them to navigate the road. So always make yourself available to them.
I agree 100%, and I think we have an example of that based on the organizer of this program. You know, as I said, I'm one of the oldest in this room. And as I look at they tell me that I'm in the fourth quarter of life, so to speak. But to know that there's someone like Moses that's coming behind and realize that we've done something to help the pass the torch. Congratulations, Moses, and continue to work and bring others along.
Hello? Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ms. Raylan Hendricks. I'm a student here at the Gus Machado School of Business. I study business and finance. The things that you guys were saying are like head on. Some of the things that you guys pinpointed on that I really, really can identify with is the importance of taking advantage of the different opportunities that we have here at St. Thomas. Actually, it's ironic, one of the individuals whom taught me public speaking is actually here, one of my former professors, Dr. Motley. How are you doing? So he's an individual whom really put it in perspective for me to sit in front of the class, speak first, ask questions first. Like, I'm literally everywhere all the time networking. As a business professional, because I do plan on being a future business tycoon. And I'm one of the individuals that all of my peers here will have to compete with in the field that you guys speak of, that second degree that you spoke of, out in the real world. I think that it is very, very vital that we take these advantages and these opportunities very seriously. I was speaking to Provost Michelle. She was the young lady that I was speaking in regards to about taking these advantages. I'm like, all of these students here, great minds. Where I'm from Michigan. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. And so when I came to Florida, I always took advantage of everything, listening, learning from my peers, learning from my professors. I've been blessed to have professors that are not only instructors, but uncles, aunties, second mom, if you will. And so I think that with this, you guys are really putting everything into perspective, that we should take advantage of all of the amazing opportunities that we have in our life. Despite that as well, you guys mentioned something about, just your journey on being successful. And when you do reach a point of being successful, you guys talk about giving back. And that is what I deem my success on. See, I have the knowledge already. I have the skill already, and I'm still learning to do so. But when it comes to success, I deem that based on what you give out to your community. What can I give to the students here at St. Thomas as a student, being classmates? What can I do for my professors? What can I do for the people who work here? You know, it doesn't only stop there. And outside of my community, in Miami Gardens and Carroll City and Liberty City, I love volunteering and being that person that I needed when I was a young girl, you know, going to after school programs, doing things in the community, you know. We all need that person to enlighten us. So I just really appreciate you guys coming and explaining that to everyone. I really hope that you guys take this as seriously as I do. Every expo that I go to, literally everything, I'm talking, asking questions. Hey, how y'all doing? I'm Miss Hendricks. What's going on? Because where I'm from, this is a luxury. I don't think that everybody understands that here. This is a luxury. Like, see, and it's free. And it's free. So I just want to say thank you, you guys. Thank you, Moses. Pleasure meeting you. And thanks.
Hi, my name is Matthew Dedell. I'm a criminal justice major here at St. Thomas University, junior. This question is for DJ 5. So, I'm actually a musical artist myself. So my question for you is, how did you transition? Like, what steps did you take, trials did you do in order to transition from being a local or small-time DJ, as they would say, or artist in the industry, to becoming the mogul that you are today?
Patience is one of the main things. Also, like, speaking things into existence is something I believe in very strongly. Having that goal set and figuring out how to get to that goal. Looking at who the people are involved with that goal, how to be in the right places at the right time, taking full advantage of where you're at in the moment, and building on that process as well. I come from a small town in South Jersey, like right outside of Philadelphia. I have no clue how I made it here to Miami. But it was like part of my goal as being a successful DJ. A lot of my goals grew as time went on. I hit one goal, and then it's time for the next goal, and it's time for the next goal. So it's really about pinpointing where you want to be and then figuring out what that path is for you and following that path and figuring out it's going to go all over the place. It might, you know, that goal might not be what's meant for you. It might be something next to it. But it's just following that goal and really pushing through, building your network. That's a big part, though, building the network, meeting people. Most of the opportunities that I've had in my career are from other people's recommendations. So building those relationships is key, super key.
Okay, so I just want to say thank you for being here. I really appreciate the knowledge. My name is Nyanka Guillaume, and my question is, like, for you guys, like, there was two perspectives on the stage. There was the perspective of playing the game. Like, for you, for example, you kind of avoid putting your face in the pictures just to get your business ahead. And I understand that point of view, but in the example you gave, when that man treated you like a second-class citizen, you chose to take your business elsewhere. So for me personally, I just want to know when to be able to walk away from a situation because I'm not being treated fairly, but knowing that balance to be like, okay, even though I'm not being treated fairly, I need to know how to play the game, and I'm gonna bite my tongue and keep going.
Great question. It is a balancing act. It is threading that needle, because like this old song that say, "You got no one to hold them, no one to fold them." You have to analyze the situation and ask yourself some questions. Is this something that I need this to move to the next square? If it's something that is a key component of you moving to the next place in your career, then sometimes you have to be very political and strategic. Sometimes you have to hold your tongue, accept a little bit of a slap for the moment, but just understand that it's going to take you to another level where you won't be getting slapped in the future. So sometimes you have to kind of just be able to eat that humble pie and say, this is part of the journey. This is teaching me how to survive, and make that a lesson of survival. Sometimes you just confront it head on. Sometimes you say, you know what, I don't care what is this deal supposed to be. I'm going to stand on my place, my ground, my line in the sand, and I'm not going to be pushed around. I'm not going to play the game, but I'm going to make a statement and understand that you own whatever consequences come from that, and know what those consequences are, and say, well, I can pay that price because I've let them know where I stand. So it's analyzing the situation, and as you're saying, sometimes there are times where with that situation, with dealing with someone disrespectful I'm trying to do business with, the next times I would call up places and I would set the deal up before they saw me. And then once I got into the place, then I would say, well, you know what, now they know they're going to make some money here. So now they're going to see me and they're going to say, well, wait a minute, I don't want to pass on the green because I see the face. So sometimes that does work as the best solution. Sometimes not putting your face out there right up front, because you know what's coming back at you is not acceptance. And you know what you need is what they have. So you have to kind of be strategic and get what you need before they know who they're giving it to. So it's about being able to see how the game moves and just analyze what will be the result of your decision, whichever way you go.
Just to echo on that, I would say for sure, like for me, it is a case-by-case situation. You do have to figure out what works best for you in that moment. For me, it was pretty simple. It was like a multi-million-dollar move. So I'm like, hey, I don't got to even really think about it, So once you, if you subscribe to the game and you play the game, if you do it right, then what you got to remember is now you're putting yourself in position to play a totally different game. You know what I can do for black businesses now that I couldn't do before? I'm intentional on supporting black businesses. I couldn't do that before. So I played the game with an end result in mind, and you'll have to make that decision too once you're, posed with that fork in the road. Is this important enough for me to do? What are the ramifications of this? What are the consequences of this? How do I feel about it? As long as you're not, morally affecting your belief system or what the case may be, in your ethics, then you're fine. This is the world is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you gotta be smart. You gotta be smart and do what's best for you and your circle. And if you do that right, then you'll be able to be a great benefit to people around you for years to come.
My grandmother makes a simple statement: do your best, and God will do the rest. And sometimes you have to rely on that to catch you where you're going.
And just thought of one more thing with piggybacking also. When you're analyzing situations, trying to decide what to do, which direction to go, if someone has made themselves your adversary for whatever reason, because of who you are, how you look, whatever the case may be, don't let them push you into acting in a way that's out of character. Always maintain your professionalism. You don't want to give in to stereotypes. You want to just close it out and just withdraw. Like I told that gentleman, I said, well, thank you very much. I said, we're going to analyze this and we'll let you know what our decision is. I didn't let him see me sweat. So that's the key. Do not let adversaries see you sweat. Act like it's nothing. And just keep it moving.
I have a saying that goes something like this: mental discipline, hard work, meticulous attention to detail, willingness to help and share with others, not only represent the key to success, but ensures an enduring positive life. And out of all of those, mental discipline is probably the toughest. If I can give anybody a gift, or if I want anybody to give me a gift, give me the gift of mental discipline. Because if you are equipped with mental discipline, hard work, and meticulous attention to detail, you go far, far, and you outcompete a lot of your competitors.
Hello, my name is Alfred Chaffee. I teach biology and bioethics here at St. Thomas. I just wanted to ask if, for any of you, if you think that your faith has played a role in your professional development?
Yes, Jesus. And amen. 1000%. And this is just me, you got to believe in something. I believe in Jesus. This is my belief. I'm a Christian, born and raised, and my faith is extremely important to my decision-making skills, the way I move through life, the way I operate my business. There's a moral component that we offer that many people in my industry just laugh at, and it's so. Faith is extremely important. I think you have to have boundaries in whatever you do, because if you don't, you'll just you'll be reckless, and recklessness does not equal success. So I think faith grounds you and forces you to work in a certain controlled environment where and people are looking at you, whether you know it or not. So. I think if you do have that faith, I think it's important to follow that and let that lead and guide you through your decision-making skills. It's worked for me for sure.
I would say that faith is the most important element for me. And when I was talking about being flexible, being able to know how to change course, that's God. You have to listen to what God is telling you. He's going to tap you on the shoulder and let you know. And you can be bullheaded and decide, well, I think I know what I'm doing. But at the end of the day, you'll see who really knows. Because the old saying says, there's your plan, there's God's plan, and yours doesn't matter. So if you're not in step with what has been ordained for you, then it's not going to happen. And it may not happen when you want it to happen. It happens when God knows it's ready to happen. And you just have to always not be an asker of things, but also thankful to God for the things he brings you. Even when I thank God when I have successes and when I have failures, because I know that the failure was a lesson. And I know it's something that God put in front of me for a reason. So I thank him no matter which way it goes. So always be that kind of a person where you know where your center is. That will lead you to the right path no matter what's going on around you.
In my career, my faith has been a big part of the guidance system of what I do and how I do it. Like you said, there's a lot of people in this industry that do not care about other people. They will walk right over you. They will take advantage of you, all the above. So moving Christ-like is so important for me, and the way that I deal with people, the way that I treat people, and how I want to be treated.
wife is a school teacher, a retired school teacher. One of the last schools she taught at was Phillips Weekly in overtime. And one day she called me because she saw these little fruits on the ground. They are called juju. I don't know if any of you have heard of juju. If you go to the Pharaonic village in Egypt, a juju tree is there. The Bahamians brought the juju tree to Overtown, planted it there, and these fruits, you can see them all over the ground. But when I go to Overtown around Christmas, New Year's, January area, time of the year, that's when these fruits are available. I go and I pick them up. People think I'm a homeless guy picking them. But I pick them up and I eat them and I enjoy them. My point is, that one juju tree in Overtown is as much a manifestation of the Bahamian presence in America than anything else. And with this film and recording infrastructure, maybe one could create a little story about it.
Hi, my name is Anmalia Delva, and I'm a sophomore at St. Thomas University, majoring in political science. But I had a direct question for Mr. Beverly. So, as well as I mentioned that my major is political science, I am also an aspiring performer as I sing, dance, and act. And I decided to take the entertainment industry seriously about a year ago. So in your introduction, you had mentioned that you had moved to Los Angeles, and seeing in the industry, you have to know your market. And the top markets are Los Angeles, Atlanta, New York, etc., probably Texas. Would you say it was essential for you to move to Los Angeles, especially with seeing how the market is going now in Miami?
Well, that's a great question, and thanks for your question. When I moved to Los Angeles, this was 20 years ago. So Atlanta was not what it is now, right? So, but I think in your journey, it's important to first, see what's feasible logistically for you to go. Do you have a place to stay? Do you have people there? Do you have a support system? When I went to LA, it was a different situation. I was living in an efficiency with a young lady from Korea and her boyfriend and her baby. And they were selling weed. And I was like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm here to act. I'm not here to, smoke weed and sell. But I had to start somewhere. So make sure that whatever you do choose to do, that you have something set up for you. And I would say Atlanta is probably a really, really good place right now to go to if you want to really start to inundate yourself in the industry. And like the DJ said, make sure that you network a lot. And this business, networking is important. One person you talk to one day is going to turn around and be the CEO of a major company or the creative director of a major network. So keep those networks strong and don't burn any bridges, like with anybody, okay? Hope that answered your question.
Hello, my name is Matthias Scott. I just had a small question. So I am an aspiring graphic designer. I'm in the communication and visual arts program here at St. Thomas, and I wanted to know, at what point do you get a certain amount of pride for like what you do? Because I grew up in Houston, Texas. I was in Acres Home. I don't know if you'll know what that is, but it's the kind of like the hood of that area. And I'm with a lot of people who don't aspire to be anything, and it kind of like dulled my senses and my pride for what I do, because I'm trying to make sure I make my own business, but I'm also trying to advertise for big companies such as like you work for, Mr. Beverly, like Sony, do stuff for Nike, anything like that. So if y'all could just help me out with that, that'd be great.
Make sure I'm understanding your question. Are you asking more about how to garner these clients, or is that what your question is?
My question is just how did you get a certain amount of pride to be able to go up to them and be like,
I can market this and they'll take it.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny. You just you know, you have to believe in yourself, right? Even when nobody else is believing in you, it doesn't matter. You have to be so ferociously in love with your abilities and believe so much into yourself that it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. And like the doctor said, you got to think big. You know, you gotta dream big. I mean, huge. Because that's the only way you're going to make it. Any luminaries or anyone who's reached great levels of success, they've thought really, really big. And a lot of times you don't land on that huge goal, but you land somewhere in there. So I would say believe in yourself first, but more importantly than that, you got to make sure that you are mastering your craft. Like whatever you say you want to do, become a master at that. Learn everything about it. Learn what you can here. Surround yourself with people who understand the industry. Join social media groups that talk about the stuff. Become a master. And if you become a master, then now those big brands, the reason they do business with us is because we add value to those brands. You understand what I'm saying? If you can learn how to add value to any brand, they're going to want to see you. They call us. I don't call Nike. I don't call Pepsi. They call me. You understand? Because, and it's not because we're pompous or whatever. It's because 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm mastering my craft, and I'm honing my skills so that I can be great. I didn't go to when I got serious at like 26, I didn't go to clubs no more, man. My friends were like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I want to be a millionaire, man. I can't do that hanging out in South Beach." So I think if you take that route, another thing I'll say is, a lot of people want to be successful overnight. Like you see people, social media is not real, guys. Y'all know that. Social media is fake. People only put their best, self forward. You're not seeing people when they're hurting, when they're having a bad hair day in most cases, when they're depressed or whatever the case is. So I'd say fall in love with the journey, okay? If you don't remember anything else I said today, for you specifically, fall in love with the journey, because you may not see success tomorrow like you want to. You may not see the kind of success you want to see next week or next month or even next year. But if you fall in love with going to bed, thinking about your stuff, waking up, thinking about your stuff every day, talking to people, learning the words, learning the jargon, learning the terminology, before you know it, you're going to be a master, and you're going to be able to add value. And when you do get to that level of success, when you're working with Nike, because I believe you will work with Nike. You understand? We're going to put that out there. We're going to speak it into existence. You will work with Nike. When you get that job, and you run into those obstacles that will come, because even though you get to success, you're still going to hit obstacles, but your journey is what allows for you to be able to handle those obstacles. You understand? So don't think it's going to happen overnight. Fall in love with the journey. Accept the obstacles. You need failure. Failure is an essential part of success, so don't run from failure. Welcome failure. I tell my kids, rush to failure. Hurry up and get the failure out of the way, because you got to get failure. And once you hit, and as an inventor, I know you know all about that. So if you do that, young brother, I think you'll be okay. All right? All right.
So, actually, real quick, bro, I want to answer your question real quick. I'm young, or kind of old for like college age. I'm 23. So, I honestly relate to that question a lot, which is why I was like, I wasn't going to answer it, but because it's for them, but it's not for me. But I feel like I'm in a position where I can answer that question now. For a long time, I was super shy. I faced a lot of challenges mentally, going on my own and trying to figure out who I was. And I think that's what allowed me to kind of have pride in my own work and pride in what I do. It's kind of hard to explain what I do at this point, but I do a lot. I love photography, so I can consider myself a photographer. I love business. I can consider myself a businessman. I love philanthropy. I do that as well. I do a lot of things, but the first thing that it took for me to even take those steps to doing that is kind of losing myself and finding myself. Because it's like you kind of have to really try to figure out who you want to be at the end of the day, which we don't really get the chance to do, honestly, as black men. We kind of are given the tools that are thought to be the most ways to be successful. And with that, it's kind of hard to kind of bridge that gap and say, I want to take this risk, I want to do this. Because, like you said, you come from a place where there isn't a lot of opportunity and there isn't even like a lot of things to look forward to, and it affected you. The biggest thing is to be able to take those risks. Like he said, be okay with failure, and just make sure you keep growing from it. That's what helped me like face any task. My biggest fear was failure for a long time, and I'm pretty sure that's a lot of people's fear. Being able to face that failure and continue failing, and then after a while not beating yourself up about that failure, but understanding it's a path to success that failure brings you. It's like that bridge. But yeah, that's my piece on that. Thank you everyone for coming. Before I let everyone go, we're gonna give some awards out to all the panelists. I really appreciate you guys for coming and sharing your wisdom with us. I'm pretty sure a lot of other people do. And then don't worry, the raffle is gonna be right after. So first, DJ Five Venoms. Mr. Tavares Beverly, Mr. Ivan Yeager, and Dr. Gershwin Bladden. So, like I said, thank you everyone for coming. You guys can go sit down with everyone else. I don't want you to hold you guys on stage the whole time. So we're gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna have Manu take over. She's gonna be doing the raffle pulling. I'm just letting you guys know. So how it's gonna work is it's 2 drawings for one pair of Rolling Loud VIP tickets for Miami that would be in the summer. After your ticket's pulled, first off, if someone's not here, we're just gonna grab the next name. If your ticket's pulled, just come speak to me. I'll take your email, phone number, and information, and you'll be set within a couple months. The festival's no time soon, so So just know, like, you're good.
Okay, the first ticket is 678-5544. That's Lexi. Woo! Rizicki's GA, Go Fashion Society. Yeah. Okay, the second ticket. A little shake up. Okay, we have 678-5512. Yay, congratulations. Amazing.
Well, once again, thank you everyone for coming. There's still food and drinks outside, so you guys can chill out for a bit as well. Thank you.